Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be my first impressions and unboxing of the BOOX Palma 2 Pro. So let's go ahead and jump on into it. Hey everybody, I'm Ed. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, please hit that like button, hit subscribe, and get connected to the channel so that you can be updated when we have anything new drop and release. If you are not new, please go ahead, hit like, and drop your comments down below, whether you're new or returning. Happy to have those comments. Today we're going to talk about the BOOX Palma 2 Pro. And this device is something that, quite frankly, I resisted the first Palma and some of the others because I'm not sure my use case I'm not sure its case yet for this device, but I did want to take a look at it, especially now that it has data connectivity and that it has the ability to have color, which again, I'm not a huge color e-ink fan, although I've recently unboxed the Note Air 4C and now the Note Air 5C, and those are both phenomenal devices. And I am warming up to color e-ink on note takers. Still primarily use another device as my daily driver, and I am a huge fan of the Spectra 6 technology that's used for digital art and photos. With all of that aside, I'm really looking forward to sharing my thoughts on this device. Obviously, the intro is being recorded after the unboxing, which you'll see in just a minute. And then we'll go through, I'll show you some of the features. Not a huge deep dive. I'll put more resources down into the comments if you want to see some early dives into the functionality. I plan to do a full review on this once I've had it for a while and been able to try and figure out a use case and how to work it into my daily flow. But with that being said, let's go ahead and jump on over and take a look at the device. All right, everyone. So here we are with the BOOX Palma 2 Pro. And we're going to open this in the order that you see here. We're going to start from right to left, and we're going to start with the stylus. So let's go ahead and pull this off here. You'll see I'm trying to be safe. Pull my scissors, and we will go ahead and get this out of the package. I am notoriously not great at unboxings, but that's okay because, again, some of you may have already seen this, but I feel like this one has to be done as a true unboxing because it is fairly new. So some of you may not have seen it. And I just want to give it its fair shake here. So let's go ahead and open up the box. So we'll shake that open, pull it out, and there is the pen. Now, I will say, and we'll go ahead, and it looks like they've got a few nibs just kind of laid in there. So that's interesting, the way they chose to do that. It looks like there are little grooves that they were supposed to be in, but they kind of got jostled around and ended up jumping out all over the place. So we'll go ahead and get those, and we'll actually put them back in their little grooves. That way I don't lose them. So as you see, you get your nib and it goes in these little grooves right there. Get that light on it. There they are. All right, so we'll set that over to the side along with the rest of the pen case. And let's take a quick look at the stylus while we've got it out here. So actually, it's not real hefty, but there's some decent weight to it. It is a metal body, it feels like. And now I could be wrong about that. I will look it up, but it does feel like a metal body. You do get a button here on that. I'm not sure if this is an eraser, so we'll have to take a look at that and see if that's an actual eraser. And then you do get, unfortunately, it is an active stylus. So that's going to mean that it's going to have to be charged via USB-C and that it is not EMR, so it is not going to work across any other device that uses a passive EMR technology. So that's the pen. Like I said, so far it feels nice. It feels like a quality pen. We'll see how it performs as we go through the rest of this. And this is the cover. Much easier to take the packaging off the outer side of that, obviously. And then we will go ahead and pull open our cover here. And I am doing this at kind of a weird angle, so forgive me if it looks like I'm struggling a bit because I am. So we'll go ahead and pull this out, pull it out of the plastic. They're using a lot of plastic, which, as all of you know, I'm not a huge fan of a ton of plastic. A little bit I know is necessary to protect these devices, but just not a huge fan of the plastic overall from a sustainability perspective. Also, the foam insert here. So it looks like it's a two-part case, actually. So you get this magnetic cover piece here, and then you also get kind of a plastic outer covering for the device, which looks like it has a magnet, and it does. So very much reminiscent of the Samsung phones or the MagSafe on the iPhone. So I'm guessing you could put this up on something that's magnetic and have it hold pretty nicely. So pretty strong magnets, they feel like, at least from first glance. And again, you'll see that magnetic representation here showing that that's where you would place your magnets. So kind of cool. So there's your case. We'll set that over to the side as well while we look at the rest of this. All right. So now comes the fun part. And we'll pull out our nice little scissors here. We'll get under this piece and pull that out. And then we will go ahead and get rid of this plastic. I will say that BOOX's boxing is excellent as far as their presentation. This has a very premium feel to it, a very hefty feel. It's kind of textured here on top, which is nice. It's got the Palma 2 embossed, and it's got this embossing here. So I don't know if that's picking up really well on camera, but it's very, very nice. Set that over here to the side. And then now we get to pull out the device. So we'll pull this out real quick and set it to the side so we can look at what else is in the package. It's going to be your standard things. You've got your SIM card removal tray. This does have a dual SIM and SSD card slot. We'll see what else we've got in here. Pretty sure it's going to be a USB-A to USB-C cable. I know a lot of people don't like the A to C. I do, because I do wish they'd give you the adapter for the C to C, but having A, especially when a lot of devices are still using A, is a nice touch. And if they had the adapter, it actually would be the perfect packaging for me. And I know that's not everybody's preference, but that's mine. And then you've got your quick start guide. So that's it. I will go ahead and sit all of that to the side. And now let's take a look. Let's get the scissors out of the way, and let's take a look at the Palma 2 Pro. Boy, they really have that on there. There we go. So there it is. And this is my first Palma. I know that a lot of these have already been seen before, so I won't notice all of the differences. Or I would encourage you to check out Kit Betts Masters and other people who have reviewed this, especially Kit, because he's done a lot with this specific device. And I will say one thing. I really like this texture on the back. It doesn't really feel like leather, but it's very grippy. And I'm kind of sure that even outside of this case, which is a lot smoother, this may be a nice addition to be able to carry this device without any case at all. But you'll see here you have your cameras, you have very nice design. It's very white. I expected it to be more of an off-white color, but I do like that. And this is very well-lit conditions, so you're going to see that this doesn't look super, super dark, but in person it is darker. Just so you're aware of that. And that's common with Kaleido panels. But so that's it. So let's go ahead and put it in its case, and we'll get a look at the whole package here. So we will go ahead and we will insert this, which should be pretty straightforward, like any other phone case. Yep, right in. No problems. And that also recesses this a little bit on the camera. It was pretty flush to begin with, just a slight protrusion, but this takes it completely flat. And then what we will do here is, again, you'll see where that magnet is. And we put that in there, and we use that little cover case. And now you've got a nice little package. I actually like that a lot. It doesn't look quite straight to me. Maybe that's just what I did there to keep it that way. Let me try to back that up a little bit. So I may not be getting it quite as straight as I should. Trying to make it look as straight as I can. To do it justice. It's a very nice case. I will say that. That's just maybe the OCD in me a little bit, wanting it to be perfectly flush, but there you go. So it is nice, and it gives you that protection here on the back. It gives you that magnet so that you can attach this. And then when you take it off, you can still attach it. And it's pretty strong, the magnet on this. Now, one thing I saw on one of Kit's videos is that there's no way to magnetically attach the pin. And the pin holder, quite frankly, is not made. Here there's no magnetism. So here on the side, there's nothing here to keep it magnetized at all. And it's not going to charge. So you're going to have to plug this in separately to charge it. So that's going to work. It does stick surprisingly well to this magnet. So you can shake this really, really hard and it's not going anywhere. The problem is I don't know how you carry that. I don't know what you would do with this. I mean, if you were just carrying it as a little standalone piece to walk around with, it actually is a decent package. You could carry it like this or carry it like this, and you don't have to worry about that going anywhere. The minute it goes in a bag, that's going to pop right off and you're going to have major issues with that. So kind of a nice package. I don't know what it would be like to use this in the case. So let me go ahead, and there's really nowhere to put that. So you get that weird separation there. You almost have to take it out of the case if you're going to use it. And then it becomes that question of, do you take it completely out so that it's not even in this protective case, or do you still use it in this case? Because right now with it in here, it's going to move around and wobble. If I take it out of the case, my guess is going to be that, well, no, it's still going to wobble. So that's not going to help you at all. So you almost have to leave it in the case because you get this just little slight protrusion here for the camera and that piece of it. So again, not bad at all. I actually like the form factor, but it feels very much like a phone. If I haven't edited them all out, I've said phone multiple times. This is not a phone. This does have data, and I will try that out at some point, but it has phone-like capabilities, but it is not a phone. It has no native phone app. In order to make any kind of phone type calls, you would have to install something like WhatsApp or some other platform to be able to do that. So let's go ahead and turn it on. And so let's take one more little look at the tour here. So you get your speakers down here, you get your power port right here, and it actually looks like the power port cable, the cutout here is a little off. It's not quite machined the way that you would hope it would be. It should be directly in the center there. So when we go to plug this in, it'll be interesting to see what that looks like. But you get your speaker grill, you get one microphone here, you get another microphone up here, and then you get your buttons on the sides and another button here. I am looking, sorry, those aren't buttons. So you get a button here on the side, you get another button over here, and then you get your SD card and your SSD and your SIM card slot there. So let's go ahead and turn it on and see what it looks like to boot this up. And what we should see here, my guess would be, is that the front light is going to kick on as this thing boots. And again, remember, this is very lit conditions. So this looks significantly brighter on the screen as I'm looking at it on my computer versus my naked eye looking at it from the angle that I'm at filming this. So let's see if it kicks on. It hasn't kicked on a front light yet, or at least I haven't noticed it. So let's go ahead and do English. Let's go ahead and go through the United States, Chicago time. That's all good. Auto update, auto sleep 5 minutes, auto power off. I'm going to change that. Usually I set my devices to 8 hours. If I haven't used them by 8 hours, they need to go to sleep. And then it's going to show me some of the gestures or whether I want to have the nav bar. I usually leave the gestures. They tend to work fairly well on books. So we'll go ahead and go through what the gestures are. They look very similar. Connecting the stylus. Making sure your pen has a charge, and let's see if we can go ahead and pair this really quickly. Maybe I have to hold down the button here. Let's try that. I might not have a charge on the pen, so we will have to come back and check out the pen after I get a good charge on it. It seems like they may have sent me a pen that does not have it charged up yet. So, one of those things, it's a fresh unboxing. I don't want to misrepresent anything. It said to make sure that this had a charge, and I assumed when it came in the box that it would have one, but obviously it does not. So we'll skip that for now. We'll finish going through the gestures. We will allow this to update, and now we are at the home screen. And of course, there's the nav ball, which I'm not sure if that's going to do us a lot of good, but let me go ahead and I'm going to take a few minutes or take a little bit, get this all set up, and then we will look at some more on the device. All right, so I've gotten some of the apps that I wanted to load on here, but I wanted to start off with one thing that I thought was really kind of neat, but also I'm not sure how much I would use it except for as reference. But I did want to show some of the compatibility between the two devices. So here I have the Note Air C, and over here, of course, the Palma 2 Pro. And what I've got on here right now is an infinite note. And I will admit that it's it's way easier to do this kind of work over on the larger device. It just works better. It scrolls better. It moves around the screen better. But it's really not bad either over here. I think the hardest thing is you have to start with a large canvas and then be very intentional. So you have to take this to the maximum in order to make it work correctly. So I had to take it all the way to 200%. And then I had to draw my lines and then pull them in. And what I did for this test was I started with these two concepts here. And then I came over to the Note Air 5C and I drew these two. Now with BOOX, what you do get that's very nice is the ability to make custom lines, custom shapes, all of that. So for example, if I want to connect these two principles, I just draw a line and I can then connect here, get that. That's one thing I did want to show you with this. Because of the cover, you're always going to get this wobble, whether you have the case on or whether I should say, but because of the camera bump, you're going to have that wobble. No matter what you do, there's no way around it. So the biggest issue then is you always have to put your finger or your hand on the top corner if you want to write. Really, you almost have to do it on both. But here, if I want to make that curved line, I can do that. And now the next time I get out of here, it will sync over on the other device. Now, I may have just messed myself up by doing it that way just because of the fact that the two notes were open at the same time, which you usually don't do. That's not something that I like to do anyway. So we'll go ahead and enter the edge to edge. Oh, it did work. So you'll notice that that came straight through and now you have those two lines. So just kind of cool. It actually worked really well with both of them being open, which surprised me. And I don't know how much I would use that feature other than for reference. It's really hard to do that on this small of a screen. And I think that's one thing that I've been struggling with, just in full transparency, the couple of days that I've been using this, is trying to figure out my use case and how I would make it work. Now, there are a ton of things I can see it being useful for a small reader. I can see it being used for, again, quick reference, now that it has data capabilities for looking things up, but it's not as user-friendly for writing. You can do it. Definitely you can do it. The only problem there is having to hold it the way I just showed you. There's no way around that I found. I have found no way to not have to hold and stabilize the device just because of the design. And if you throw the case into the mix, it makes it even worse. So, but let's get this out of the way. And one thing I would mention, I won't show that, but I'll talk about it, is that in the Neo reader, you cannot annotate on this device. And I don't know why you would want to, quite frankly. I don't see a use case to want to write on this device with the Neo reader, but you also don't even see those annotations when you bring them over. So when you open it up, or I should say your scribbles, because BOOX calls them scribbles versus annotations. And annotations are the embedded comments. So you don't see that. It just doesn't show up. So, and you also don't get your notes widget or notes in the traditional sense. You have to enable that. But let me show you what I'm talking about. If I go into the library here and I go to the Cask of Amontillado I'll say cancel here. But in here on the Note Air 5C, I have notes written here. Now, what I will see is any annotations I make or any highlights. If I hold down here, I can select and then I will get my tools to do all of the things that I want to do, from highlight to add an annotation, translate, copy, share, AI, all of that is still there. And it also highlights it so that I can go back and do that later. So all of that functionality is here. What you don't get is a pen selection tool. On the Note Air 4C, 5C, Note Max, Go 10.3, all of the others, you get that handwriting capability. Again, I don't know why you would use it here. I think this would be primarily for reference, but it would be nice, especially if it was something that had some white space where I did want to make a quick note in the white space, that I'd be able to do that. Not a huge thing, probably not something I'm going to use it for tremendously, but still a nice to have. One thing I do want to show you is that if you go here and you go down to this drop down, you can actually test your pen by dragging it across here, and it will tell you how much battery you have. Now, one thing I will say about this device is it does eat battery pretty quickly. Partially that's because of having to have the front light on almost all the time to be effective. And then the pen also loses. I've used this for maybe 4 or 5 hours in total of doing different things, and I'm already down 25% on the pen, and I'm down to about 60% on the device. So again, do I think it'll get several days? Absolutely. But do I think it's going to be some massive battery life on these? Probably not. And remember, you do have to charge this pen. It does not charge to the device at all. And I think that that's a real miss on the part of BOOX. So I do want to show you a couple of other things. I went ahead and I installed, and I will tell you, this thing is screaming fast. It moves quickly, it's very snappy. But I want to go into Kobo here, and I want to show you a book. Let me get my orientation right. And the experience is very good. For a small reader, just a few things I really had to deal with. So, for example, I didn't like the full justify because it was leaving a lot of dead space. So I left justified this. I also eliminated that animation filter that Kid had mentioned during his video. And then I did a few reflow things. I'll probably make this text a little bigger. It's very readable if I have my bifocals on, but a lot of times I like to read without my glasses and make the text bigger. It's one of the biggest advantages to an e-ink device. So I think, the animations are smooth, the text looks good, it's very crisp, it's very easy to follow. And, just in that same vein, we'll take a look at Kindle. And if you pop up and you get Kindle, you're going to see here that this is my Mel Brooks book. And again, very snappy. Now you are going to get a little bit of ghosting with the text, but you can easily fix that by going into the e-ink center and changing your mode. So for example, I have my custom mode, which is in Regal. And that is set to refresh every page. Now, you're going to get a little bit of flashing when you do that, but again, it's going to look really good. And what's nice about this is if I go and want to look at this picture, I can actually pull that up by zooming, and I can go around the picture, do a bunch of different things, and then get out. So I think that's similar to that guided reading mode that Kid had talked about for comics, to be able to really take a look at the picture and then go back out. So pretty neat, but very, very snappy. And I really think that this device has a lot of potential when it comes as a reader. And for quick reference, I think this would be phenomenal. I'm going to load some news apps on this when I get into the full review. I'm going to do some stuff like Press Reader and just the different ones that I use and see what that looks like on the device. The last thing I want to show in this first impressions is going to be actually the Supernote partner app. I saw someone had asked about the partner app and whether it would work on this device, and I will tell you it works fabulously. So again, it's one of those things where Supernote is made for e-ink, obviously, and BOOX is an e-ink device. So their partner app really takes advantage of that. And so here we are, we're in the partner app. I can go to my digest. I can go up here to sources. I can go here and I can go to documents, expand that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go into Your Spectrum of Thought by J.B. Glossinger. And the reason I'm using this as a test is to kind of show you the navigation and how that works. It's really an awesome implementation of the app. So I go in here, I can actually make a note within here. So if I press, and I can use this workflow right here and put in here, here is another test note. And what that's going to do is it's going to go ahead and recognize, I get that in, and then I can still see my handwritten. Now I can't zoom. That doesn't work in this app, but if I write legible enough, I will be able to read it for reference. And I think that's really a powerful thing. But here's the other power that this has. I can come up here and I can press on the actual source. And for PDFs specifically, it's on the device already and there's no digital rights management. So I'm actually able to see the annotation, the handwritten annotation that I put on here on the Supernote. And I get where I can zoom in and zoom out because I'm now in the PDF. If I press here, I can go ahead and go back to the digest. Sorry, I'm pressing at an angle, so I apologize for that. But again, so all of the things that you can do in the app are here, and I think that's just a really nice implementation. As far as other things you can do on this device, again, it syncs with all of your normal features with books. You can see your calendar. If you have your calendar synced, you can see what you've read today. It doesn't have notes listed, which is kind of, I guess, not surprising because it's not meant to be a notes device, but it does have that ability to show what you've read. And then, of course, you can sideload all of your other apps. You can have anything pretty much you want on here, and Google Play works very well. But again, very quick, very early thoughts on this. It's a fabulous little device, and we'll hop back out of here. I just wanted to give you the visual tour of it, let you take a look at it, and we'll wrap up with a few concluding comments. See you in a minute. All right, everybody, welcome back. So that was interesting for me. It was shot over several days. I took this little device to work and have been toying with it and playing with it and trying to figure out what the best way to use it is. There are some things that do excite me about the device. I think that this form factor for quick jotting down of notes or task lists or quick grocery lists, anything like that would be really good. I am still a little surprised and let down that Books didn't just go ahead and turn this into a phone. I don't understand that decision. I think if you're going to put a SIM card in it, you might as well go ahead and enable the phone connectivity and have the phone app. I just don't understand. I think that this would really give the Highbreak Pro from Bigme and some of the other devices that are in the market a run for their money if it was a phone. So that I'm surprised about. Also, the capacitive pen surprised in a good way, not near as bad as I thought it would be. It's actually a nice build. It's fairly weighty. It feels pretty premium, but you do have to charge it via USB-C, and there's no way to connect it to the device without kind of the workaround, which I've been using. And I will admit that putting it on the device like this might not look great, but it stayed on there. It went into my backpack, it went into my bag, and when I went to pull it out, every great once in a while, it would be a little bit off center, but it was always on there. That magnet is very strong. So I don't know what that particular thing was about. And while the case looks very nice as a package standpoint, I don't know how functional it is. It's a two-part case, and I showed this in the video, but you have this really strong magnet here, and you take that off, and then you have this, and I don't really know what the purpose of that is. You would think maybe it would origami around and you could use it as a stand. And if any of you have figured out how to make that work, let me know. I'll dive into it. I'll probably reach out to Books and I'll ask them what is the way to use this the most effectively. But until I hear from them right now, I don't understand the thought. It's magnetic, so it's very nice from that standpoint. And then you take this off and you still have your magnet on the back. It does have a fingerprint reader, so you can pull up your apps, and it does have this plastic case. Again, another complaint, but not really a super huge complaint, just something of an observation. And if you are going to try and use this as a note taker, the biggest issue is this camera bump if it's out of the case, or the plastic that's raised even if it's in the case. So what happens is when you put that down on the table, it's going to rock. So you have to hold it in order to use it. But overall, I mean, I don't dislike the device. I don't have any real problems with it from a functional or a construction standpoint. It's a very nice, it's a very nicely put together device. But what it does have an issue with is, in my case, trying to figure out what I would want to use it for. It's not a wonderful note taker, but it's not bad in a pinch. I think it might have some advantages over something like the remarkable Paper Pro Move, primarily because you get a version of color, so it is Kaleido instead of gallery, but you get a very decent version of a color experience. It feels much more hardy or sturdy than what I have heard the remarkable Paper Pro Move does, because of the fact that that is a glass and metal body. This feels like a plastic body, and I'm not sure 100% on the screen. Again, I might reach out to BOOX and ask them about that, but it's definitely a different type of construction, and it feels like that. It feels like it could be taken out on a shop floor, or in my older days in retail, and you could take this out, use it, and if you happen to drop it, especially in this protective case here, I don't think you would have any damage. I mean, if you hit it just right, I'm sure you would, like any other mobile device. But overall, I think this is a much sturdier package than one of the other devices. But it looks that way too. I mean, it looks like it is plastic, but premium plastic. I mean, I don't think it looks bad at all. Battery life so far, hit and miss, still testing it out, but haven't used it a ton, and I'm already down to well, I charged it up a little bit, but I was down to 70% battery, lost 25% on the Stylus. So we'll see how that works out in the long term. But wanted to get this out to you, wanted to get you these first impressions, wanted to get your thoughts. You know, drop down in the comments, what do you think this could be really used for? In your daily workflow, what are some suggestions for me on how I could use it and best utilize the functions and the different things that it can do? I don't have it hooked up to data yet. I hope to be able to do that. A lot of it's going to depend on my data plan. I already have a phone on the data plan. I already have a lot of other things on the data plan, but we'll see about getting that hooked up and testing out some of those on the go features. And that may be a good way for me to really kind of see the utility of it. But let me know down in the comments, jump in, share your thoughts, push me, tell me what you want to see. And as soon as I can get to, I've got a list out there, a voting list, and I'll relink it down in the description of what you all want to see first on the full review. Last I checked, the Note Air 5C was well ahead, so that's going to be my priority, and that was closely followed by the Note Max. So I'll probably doing the deeper dives into those two devices first, and then come back to things like the Pocketbook and the Palma 2 Pro after that. And of course, I'll still be keeping an eye on Supernote. I've also got the TCL Next Paper 60 Ultra coming, should be here by Monday, and I'll do an unboxing and first impressions on that. But until next time, thank you all again so much for supporting me. Thank you for being here. Please like, subscribe, comment, join me over on Patreon, join my YouTube channel. All of that is helpful. You will see my patrons scrolling on the screen right now, and as well as my YouTube insiders. Thank you all so much for that support. It's more valuable than you can imagine. All of the money that I get out of this pretty much goes back into the channel. I look to break even and then be able to enhance with different equipment or different things like that. But for the most part, I don't really make anything off the channel. It's primarily a hobby and something I enjoy, and something that I really want to keep engaging with wonderful people like you. So until next time, keep on moving forward. Thank you all so much, and I will talk to you in the next one. Bye now.